Okay, imagine this future, maybe not too far off, year 2217. Your life isn't measured in years, not really.
Hmm.
Instead, your actual lifespan, your time, that's the currency.
Wow. So, like, literal time is money.
Exactly. Every single thing, coffee, rent, whatever, it gets paid for with time. Debited straight from your life by this system, the Chrononet.
Wow, okay.
And the flip side is pretty brutal. The poor, they literally die young from time overdraft. They just run out.
God, that's bleak.
While the elite, the wealthy, they rack up centuries, basically living off the time drained from others.
It's a really stark concept, isn't it? Taking time, which is so, fundamental and personal, and turning it into just a commodity you can trade.
Yeah.
Makes you really question how we value our own time right now.
It absolutely does. And well, that's what we're really diving into today.
Okay.
Our source material is this story called The Clockbreaker. Now, it is fiction, obviously, but it works so well as this kind of thought experiment. It lets us explore these huge questions about time, about society, without being tied to, today's reality.
So the plan for this deep dive isn't just to, retell the story.
No.
We want to really get into the mechanics,
Yeah.
How does this time economy actually work? What are maybe the terrifying logical outcomes?
Exactly.
And what does the rebellion against it all tell us about time itself, the nature of it?
Right. And smack bang in the middle of it all is this character, Julian Vance. He's from Zone 9, which sounds pretty rough.
Yeah.
A place where this time tax hits hard. He knows the cost. Personally, his mother died because of it.
Oh, wow.
So he starts out just surviving, hacking the system, scraping together minutes here and there, a digital ghost, basically.
That's to stay alive.
Yeah. And then he finds something almost mythical, the ghost code.
Ah, the ghost code. Yeah, this is central. It's kind of legendary in the story, right?
Totally.
Rumor has it, it was made by an ex-ministry engineer, someone who got, disillusioned with the whole Chrononet thing they helped create.
Right, someone on the inside.
Exactly. And it was just whispers.
Yeah.
Sort of desperate hope for people living on the edge.
And Julian finds it, almost accidentally, it seems, hidden inside a corrupted housing app.
A housing app? Seriously?
Yeah, just some random piece of software. But this code, it's not just for skimming a few extra hours. It's way bigger.
How so?
It completely severs your connection, your link to the Chrononet. Gone.
Completely.
Completely. It freezes your time account. Whatever time you had banked, it just stops. But, and this is the key part, your biological clock, it keeps ticking.
So you keep living, aging normally.
You keep living, yeah.
Right.
But you don't owe time anymore. You're off the clock system-wise.
Wow. Okay, but what's fascinating, you mentioned, is how it plays out for Julian. It's not instant.
No, not at all. He's careful. He tests it, methodically. On a drone first.
Okay.
Then a rat. Then finally himself. And for a while, nothing seems different. Life just goes on. It's only, months later, maybe a year passes, that he really sees it. His friends, they're aging. You can see it on their faces.
But not him.
Not him. He's exactly the same. He's essentially stepped outside the system's time.
And that's when things must have really kicked off.
Oh, yeah. The whispers get louder. The Clockbreaker, they start calling him. He becomes this, underground legend.
But the Ministry of Duration, the ones running the Chrononet, they wouldn't like that.
Not one bit. He's public enemy number one. They start this huge propaganda push. Clockbreakers kill economies.
See tactics, totally.
Time theft is soul theft, stuff like that, trying to turn people against him.
Right.
But for the people being crushed by the system, he's hope. He's freedom.
Yeah.
And eventually he connects with the Asympts, this rebel group.
The Asympts. Okay, so a resistance movement. And how do they react to him?
Yeah.
And this code?
Well, at first they're skeptical. Which makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they've probably heard it all before.
Yeah.
Miracle cures, system hacks.
Exactly. The idea of really disconnecting probably sounded impossible, a fantasy.
So what changes their minds?
Julian shows them. He reveals his own Chrononet balance, frozen solid, at, get this, 2,184,000 hours.
Oh, how much is that in years?
That's almost 250 years.
250 years, just frozen.
Yeah. And suddenly their skepticism just evaporates. Poof. This small rebellion now has this unbelievable weapon.
Julian himself.
Yeah.
He's not exactly thrilled about being immortal, is he?
No, that's the twist. He sees the downside. The curse in the blessing, he tries to explain it to Lena Core. She's the Asympt leader.
Right. Yeah.
He talks about, not aging means not evolving biologically. Your emotions kind of flatten out. Taste, smell, dulls, even sleep changes. It's just replaying memories, not really resting.
So it's stagnation,
Yeah.
kind of living death almost.
Kind of, yeah. But Lena, she sees it differently. Her response is just powerful. She says, we don't want forever. We want time to fight.
That's a crucial difference, isn't it? For him, it's personal escape, but flawed. For them, it's a tool, a weapon for the cause.
It really makes you think about, individual freedom versus the group's fight, even if the means are complicated.
Definitely. So once the Asympts have the ghost code, or at least access to it through Julian, how do things change?
Dramatically. They go from, hiding and small acts of sabotage to open warfare, basically.
Okay.
They start hitting the big targets, the ministry's data centers, the time drain facilities where they siphon life from people.
Going after the infrastructure.
Yeah. And they expose the really dark stuff, like how the elite boost their own time using condemned prisoners.
Jeez.
And they like this footage. They call it chronoleaks. Horrifying stuff. Kids dying because their families couldn't afford the time for clean water.
Brutal. Putting the human cost right out there.
Exactly. And the ministry, they double down, label the code users, the immortals, as temporal terrorists.
Trying to control the narrative.
Yeah. They even developed these things called paradox bombs, supposed to mess with chrononet readings, cause chaos.
But wait, if the immortals are disconnected.
Exactly. The bombs don't affect them at all. It's ironic, really. The weapons are useless against the very people they're meant to stop.
But this escalating conflict, how does it affect Julian? He's watching all this destruction, but he's untouched by time.
That's the core of his internal struggle, I think. He's immune, he doesn't age, doesn't feel the physical toll. But seeing everything fall apart around him, it creates this distance.
A detachment.
Yeah, a growing sense of detachment, like he's losing his connection to humanity, even while fighting for it.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
And then there's the encounter with the girl, Ari.
Yeah. That scene is just gut-wrenching. He finds this 12-year-old girl, Ari, hooked up to some black market time drain.
Oh, no.
And she has only 8 hours left. Just 8 hours.
And Julian has, what, centuries frozen?
Centuries. But he can't do anything. Because his account is frozen, he can't transfer time. He can't make that basic exchange, even to save her life.
He's locked out of the very system he fought against, even for an act of compassion.
Exactly. And in that moment, looking at Ari, it hits him. The ghost code isn't salvation.
It's exile.
It's exile. By breaking free from the system's currency, he broke his connection to, the shared experience, the ability to give, to share time.
Wow. So the escape became its own kind of prison. He wanted out of the commodification, but found himself unable to participate in basic human connection.
Precisely. It raises that question, doesn't it? Is true freedom total separation, or are we always connected, even within flawed systems?
A really tough question. So what happens to Julian after that realization?
He disappears. Just vanishes.
Really? The story doesn't say definitively?
Nope. It leaves it open. Lots of rumors fly around. Maybe he walked into the Arctic storm fields, these deadly environmental zones. Or maybe he uploaded his consciousness somewhere, like the lunar network. Some even whispered about time travel attempts. He becomes pure legend.
But his actions and the Asympts fight, they must have had a lasting impact.
Oh, absolutely. It takes time, but 50 years later, the time tax system finally collapses. 50 years. Wow. Yeah. The rebellion, the leaks, the instability, it all adds up. People reclaim their own lives, their own time.
So the Asympts ultimately succeeded.
They did. And then there's this strange kind of beautiful coda. An old server, one that had been dormant for ages, suddenly sparks back to life.
Yeah. What does it do?
It just starts broadcasting a simple message over and over. Time is not a currency. It is a gift. Don't tax it. Treasure it.
Wow. Like a final message from the past. Maybe from that original disillusioned engineer.
Maybe. Or just the system itself, acknowledging its failure. It's poignant.
And the epilogue. What does the future look like then?
It shows society starting to rebuild. No more chrononet implants. Public services get funded by, collective work and contribution, not by draining lifespans.
A fundamental shift.
A huge shift. And there's a memorial to Julian Vance in their Hall of Remembrance.
The Clockbreaker.
Yeah. And the inscription reads, "He could have lived forever. He chose to give time back instead." It really is. And there's this one last little detail, a mention of a faint heartbeat of uncounted seconds, still echoing somewhere deep in the old network. Like a trace of him.
Chilling. So, okay, wrapping up this deep dive into the Clockbreaker, what are the big takeaways for you?
Well, for me, it's a really stark warning about commodifying something as basic as time. The inequalities it creates are just terrifyingly amplified.
Absolutely. It takes existing inequalities and puts them on, like, existential steroids. And it also forces us to think about immortality not as this sci-fi dream, but as something potentially complex, even undesirable in some ways.
Definitely. Which brings us to maybe a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Yeah.
If time was infinite for you, like Julian's almost became, and you couldn't share it or exchange it, what parts of life might actually lose their value?
That's interesting.
What is it about knowing our time is limited, that this journey has an end, that gives our choices, our relationships, their meaning, their weight?
Yeah. What does it really mean to treasure time, like that message said, if you have an endless supply?
Exactly. It kind of pushes you to reflect on your own time, doesn't it? How
Yeah.
you spend it, who you share it with.
It really does. How do you personally treasure that gift? Based on everything we've just talked about. Something to think about.